Good morning, gang. Try that again. Good morning, gang. Gazey here from Gazey Fitness. Today we are going to delve into a topic that is very well known to me, and that is the basics of fat loss and weight loss. So you can employ these strategies and get yourself back on track and start losing the weight today. We always offer coaching, one-on-one training, as well as online nutrition and dietary advice. Look us up on the web, GAZEYFITNESS.com. I'll put the link below. Let me tell you just a little bit about myself, just so I don't bore you to tears. I've been involved quite heavily in the fitness, nutrition, and bodybuilding industry for well over 40 years. And in that time, I have amassed a number of courses, a number of qualifications, a number of certifications, so acting both as a coach, and an athlete myself, so we do practice what we preach most of the time. So not all the time, but most of the time. So today we're going to delve into the basics of fat loss. And if you're going to start this conversation and say, yeah, but do I have to track my food? The answer to that is yes, you do. Weight loss and weight gain comes as a result of monitoring your intake of calories. It falls down to the basics of thermodynamics, which is calories in versus calories out. If there is an excess of calories coming in, you're going to gain weight, obviously. If you are in a deficit, you are going to lose weight. Now, the body is a pretty miraculous thing, and it wants to keep you the same. Doesn't want to gain, it doesn't want to lose, it just wants to keep you the same. So what we have to do is we have to utilize some different strategies, which I'm going to share with you, on how to stimulate fat loss and kind of trick your body into progressing in the direction that you want. Now, first and foremost, the number one rule of any nutrition or diet plan is adherence, compliance, and consistency. If you don't put yourself into that category, you're not going to make it. Who are we kidding here? 1 or 2 bad days a week can ruin an entire week. String a bunch of these together, and now you are in a state of gaining weight, which is contrary to what our goals are. You need to be on top of your food, on top of your calorie tracking. Now, how can we do this? What I want you to do first and foremost is download a free calorie tracking app. There's a million of them out there. FitnessPal, Carb Manager, Macro Factor, which is the one that Antonella and I use. It is a paid one. I find that the paid ones are a little bit more robust. They give you a little bit more information and insight. Is it necessary? No, it's not, but it does help a significant difference. I get nothing at all from advocating for any of these. We're not sponsored by them. We're not affiliated with them. It's just good common sense practice. So what I want you to do is I want you to track every single thing that contains calories, food, drinks, condiments, that go into your mouth over a period of 7 days. You're going to input it. If it's going into your pie hole, it's going in the app. Put it in there. And what I want you to do is, over the course of the week, I want you to see what your average calorie intake is for that week. So you're going to total up all those calories. You'll see them in your tracker. Divide it by 7, and that is going to give you the average weekly intake for that week. Now, what else you're going to have to do besides that is you're going to have to track your weight. Now, a lot of people get all hung up on this. Chances are it's because you don't want to see the numbers staring back at you, but guess what? You have to have some indication of what measurable progress means, and how can you do that if you don't have an accurate way of assessing whether this is working or not? Jump on the scale every morning before you eat anything, before you drink anything, before you've gone and done your business, or after you've gone and done your business, not before. Definitely not during, but after you've done your business in the morning. Jump on that scale, and there's a solid chance that with many of these trackers, I know Macro Factor, you can do this, it will log your weight so you can be able to graph it. Now what I want you to do is divide that weight over the 7-day period as well. There's going to be daily fluctuations, and there are a number of reasons, we won't get into them, on why your weight fluctuates. Just know that it does fluctuate anywhere from a pound to several pounds. So not necessarily because the weight is going down or going up, that's a strong indicator. It's just one of the pieces of the puzzle. So now you're going to have two pieces of information. Number one, you're going to have your average calorie intake for the week. And number two, you're going to have your average weight for the week. That is going to be your snapshot of what the average is for that week versus intake of food in relation to your weight. Now, if you see that you're doing that in the second week, it takes 1 week to establish that baseline to see what it is we're doing. And in the second week, what I want you to do is make that comparison to the first week. Did your weight go up? Did your weight go down? And if so, by how much? Now, if your weight is going up, definitely you are eating too much food in relation to the amount of activity that you're spending. We're not going to get into activity at this point. This is going to be solely based on just food alone. Activities are obviously going to factor in there, very important, both resistance training, cardiovascular training, sleep, rest, recovery, all those things that go into this. But I'm going to take this bite of the elephant one bite at a time. So now you've got those two numbers. If your weight is going up, what that's going to suggest is your calorie intake is too high. The goal of healthy weight loss is about a 1% reduction in body weight per week on average. It's not linear, so don't expect it to be. Your graph, if you were to look at a graph, would kind of look like the stock market. There'll be upticks and downticks, but the general consensus should be that it is trending downwards and not upwards. If it's trending sideways, where there's not much change, that is your base metabolic rate with total daily energy expenditure factored in there for your activity, if that is a typical week for you. So if your weight is going up, what I want you to do is reduce your calories by 10%. You're going to know what that average is that caused you to gain, and you're going to drop that by 10%, again, by tracking your foods. So if you were eating, for example, 3,000 calories per day on average, we're going to drop it by 10%, which would be 300 calories. You're going to drop it down to 2,700 calories. And our goal is to elicit a weight loss that is roughly 1% per week. So if you weigh 200 pounds, we're looking at roughly 2 pounds. It might be less, it might be more, but the idea is if it's trending downwards, we're definitely heading in the right direction. Now, you don't want this surplus to be massive. Anything greater than that 1%, and you risk the position of having your metabolism adjust to these reduced calories. Because again, remember what I said, your body always wants to stay the same. It doesn't want to lose, it doesn't want to gain, it just wants to maintain that level, level weight. And it does that by adjusting your metabolism through thyroid output. It can slow down, it can speed up, it's constantly in flux, but it's trying to maintain some form of regularity. So if your weight is going up and you drop it by 10%, you're going to see what that reduction means at the end of the following week. Give it at least a week, if not 2 in some cases, to see what that adjustment has made. Now, we're also going to be talking about adding in cardiovascular work, weight training work, and it's not going to be crazy balls to the wall stuff. initially, if your goal is just to lose weight and fat loss, any type of movement will get us burning calories and will help decrease the amount of food in relation to energy and put you in a deficit that will allow for weight loss. So keep that in mind. Those two things: track your weight for a week, track your food intake for a week. If it's up, I want you to reduce the calories by 10%, and then continue to monitor for another week or two. Again, if it's trending up still, I want you to do another 10% reduction in calories. So if you're down to now 2,700 calories, for instance, you're going to drop another 270-ish. So around 2,400, in and around that period. Again, it's only an average. Each day does not have to be spot on, bang accurate, but within, I would say, 5% or 10% at the very most. You want that average over the week to be in that target range. How do you do that? Sticking to foods that are easy to track are always the best. And what foods are those? Single ingredient food sources: chicken, fish, beef, eggs, dairy products, vegetables, fruits, simple fats like nuts, nut butters, avocado. You can't go wrong with single food ingredients. Where it gets to be an issue is when you start piling on things like restaurant dishes where you have no idea what has gone into it. They may have a calorie reading on the menu. That's only going to be a best guess. It's not going to be completely accurate. So keep that in mind. Now, areas where calories can kind of slip in unknowingly that you still need to account for: things like additives to your coffee. If you're dumping in a pile of cream and a pile of sugar, you have to allot for that energy that's coming in, because your body's going to see it as such and react as such. So if you can get away with minimizing those coffee additives, there's a lot of alternatives these days, from nut milks with reduced calories to whole food sweeteners like monk fruit, things such as stevia. I know a lot of people are on the fence by artificial sweeteners, but trust me in saying this: the detriment to your health from having excess calories and the damage that it does over a period of time, I guarantee you, is going to be far worse than the damage that could potentially be caused by the intake of artificial sweeteners. Trust me on that. Monitor your weight, a big one. Monitor your food, another big one. Another area where those calories can tend to slip in unknowingly: condiments. I've got about 20 of them or more at any given time. Robico, low calories, 5 calories per tablespoon. Does it add up? Sure. If you're having 5 tablespoons and you're doing that 4 or 5 times a day, that's going to add up. 0 calorie hot sauce srirachas. Good choice. Flavor God seasonings. Literally no calories. They've got 20 different flavors. Fantastic. Are they pricey? Yes. Are they worth it? Yes. You can get a lot of these things from Amazon. I don't have discount codes for all of them. I may have for some of them. Feel free to message me. If I have a discount code for it, I will definitely share it with you so you can save a few bucks in the process. But keep this in mind: eating healthy does come with a price. Processed foods are cheap. They're cheap because they're cheap. They're also garbage, and they're also shitty for your health, and you should try to minimize the intake of these things as best as you can when you can. It's not that you need to be so militant 24/7, but you have to have a control over your food and not the other way around, where your food is in control of you and you start eating your feelings and eating emotionally. That is your key to staying the way that you are, and likely a big form of depression in and of itself as to why you're not happy with the way that you look and the way that you feel and what's going on with your health. You have to be the advocate for your own health and make these changes. It is a decision. Is it hard? Yes, it can be initially. You have to get accustomed to doing things in a different manner because you're doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's not going to happen. These adjustments have to be made incrementally, they have to be made responsibly. You have to stick to them, but most of all, you have to have that willingness and willpower in which to do it, or you're just not going to see any appreciable result from it. If it's something that's too big for you to tackle on your own, shoot us a message. We would love to work with you. We have worked successfully with hundreds of clients and helped them lose thousands of pounds over the years. What we do works. Is it rocket science? No. Does it come with an element of intelligence, accountability, packaged all into one to keep things easier for you? Absolutely it does. There are a number of meal service programs going on these days that there's really no reason for you to suggest even that being busy is an excuse. Being busy just means you have to be more inventive on how you get these things done. I can guarantee you that by eating at a restaurant once in a week is going to outweigh itself in the cost and the time in relation to food preparation. You know as well as I do how much it costs to go out for dinner these days. You're not getting out of there for anywhere less than around $100 for a typical decent restaurant. That can buy quite a bit of groceries. And in the time that you sat there waiting for your meals and drinks and appetizers and bill and getting to the restaurant and back and whatever else is going on, think of how much can be accomplished in that same amount of time. So saying that you don't have time is just a bullshit excuse that you want to lean on to not get the result that you're seeking. So you got to smarten up about this shit. How important is this to you in order to make the change that is necessary? Not optional. It's necessary in which to lose weight. Now, if your weight is dropping at a rate that seems rapid, in excess of that 1%, is it potentially a bad thing? Yes and no. Remember us saying that your body wants to regulate to whatever it is that we're doing, and it's going to try to do that as quickly as possible to prevent you from going into this starvation mode in which your body thinks, oh my God, I'm not getting enough energy. I'm going to start conserving energy as best as I can. And it does that by reducing your energy output, your thyroid, in which you just don't feel like being as active as you normally would. And your body tends to start conserving fat as a way of self-preservation. So you find within that 10% reduction above and below, your body's going to let you get away with that to a certain extent. That's why you don't crash diet. That's why you don't want to lose more than 1% per week, because eventually your body's going to get accustomed to that calorie level. And if you still wish to lose additional weight, you're going to have to reduce again from there. That's why we don't start all our clients on bare bones calories and balls to the wall cardio, because if that were the solution, then everybody would be doing it. You have to do it in layers. Activity goes up slightly, food goes down slightly. Always kind of layering it as you go to make sure that weight loss is as consistent as you can make it. The weight is not going to fall off your body overnight. It's not going to fall off those areas that you hate the most first. It's like saying that you want to empty one corner of your pool. It's not going to happen. It's going to happen as a whole process throughout. Those areas that have the highest concentrations of fat are typically going to take the longest to lose because there's more of it. It's going to shrink down incrementally, but just keep that in mind. This is a long haul process. It's not a Band-Aid solution. So don't think for a second that you can go on a diet, get to the level that you were happy with, and then abandon it, because it's just going to come right back. And everyone says, oh, geez, well, I'll have to eat like this my entire life. Yeah, you do, more or less, if you want to keep that standard. Compare it to brushing your teeth. It's not like you brush your teeth once or twice and then think, oh, okay, now I'm done. This is a long-term maintenance thing. But once you get a control over your food and you see your weight lowering and you're able to resist snacking and temptation, you're able to plan around events and social events, because every event that you go to is typically focused around one of two things: food and booze. You got to learn how to pick your battles, because if you don't choose wisely, you're going to end up in that same predicament. So on our next video, we're going to discuss moderating your calorie intake through the use of exercise, steps, cardio, weight training. Stay with us on this journey. Look forward to being your coach, answering any questions you may have. GAZEYFITNESS.com for coaching, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.